everybody, welcome back to my channel. As promised, and I've been promising this to you guys for quite a while now, I am finally here to do my book review, and that is of Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is the first book in her series known as the Dagger Brotherhood, and yeah, I'm going to review it for you. So, it took me a while to make this video because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to explain it. To be honest, I still really don't know how I would like to explain it, but I'm just going to wing it and hope for the best. So I'm going to start off by reading you guys the back of the book, and then I will go on from there. If you've watched my reviews before, you're probably already familiar with the way I do my book reviews, but that is what I do for those of you who do not know. So let's start off by reading you the back of the book and what it says, and that will give you guys a general idea and general gist of what this first book is about. So it says, in the shadows of the night in Caldwell, New York, there's a deadly turf war going on between vampires and their slayers. There exists a secret band of brothers like no other, 6 vampire warriors, defenders of their race. Yet none of them relishes killing their enemies more than Wrath, the leader of the Dagger Brotherhood. The only purebred vampire left on the planet, Wrath has a score to settle with the Slayers who murdered his parents centuries ago. But when one of his most trusted fighters is killed, orphaning a half-breed daughter, unaware of her heritage or her fate, Wrath must usher the beautiful female into the world of the undead. Racked by a restlessness in her body that wasn't there before, Beth Randall is helpless against the dangerously sexy man who comes to her at night with shadows in his eyes. His tales of brotherhood and blood frighten her, but his touch ignites a dawning hunger that threatens to consume them both. So in a gist, that is what this book series is about. Let me start off by telling you guys, it took me a while to really get into this book. I believe I made a video on this channel before about this book where I was dropping reading it, like I wasn't going to finish it, I just couldn't get into it, all that kind of stuff. And that's true. I have stopped and restarted this particular first book in the series probably 3 or 4 times. I think it was the pacing was just a little bit too slow for me at the time, and I didn't really give it, I gave it a fair chance, but at the same time, it was bothering me that I couldn't finish it because I usually try to at least finish every book that I start, if possible. Sometimes I might drop it and then come back to it later, or, what have you. But this one in particular, I stopped and started it probably 3 or 4 times. So, it took me a while to get into. That being said, you guys, I really, really, really am glad that I finally finished this book. This series has quickly become one of my favorites that I'm currently reading in quite a while. So before I continue the actual review portion, I would like to show you guys the font and stuff like I usually do in my book videos if you are familiar with my reviews. So your font is relatively normal sized. And this book is, let me see, this book is 393 pages. So, it's not super big. But it still, like I said, it still took me a while to really get into it and actually finish it. But I am, like I said, I'm so glad that I did, you guys, because this, again, has quickly become one of my favorite book series that I'm currently reading. So let's give you a little bit of background. Each book in this series follows a different member of the Brotherhood. This first book, obviously, following Wrath, the leader of the Dagger Brotherhood. He's also, as it said on the back, the only purebred vampire left in the existence of vampires. In this world, they are fighting a group of vampire slayers known as Lessers. Lessers are basically desouled human beings whose only sole purpose is to make the vampires extinct. So he is one of the members of the Brotherhood who are fighting to keep their vampire race safe. That's basically all you really need to know about this book. This is a paranormal romance series. So, obviously, romance is implied. There is romance in this book series. However, even if romance is not your cup of tea, I still highly suggest you guys give this book a try if you haven't read this book yet. This is the first book in the series, as I mentioned before. But just give it a try for yourself. There is a lot of action in this book series that keeps it interesting if romance isn't your forte. I don't mind, personally, I don't mind paranormal romances. I read a lot of paranormal romances, but this is the first time I've ever read an adult paranormal romance. Usually I read YA paranormal romances. YA was my strong genre. That's the genre I mostly stuck with. But when I decided to start delving into adult books, this one obviously caught my eye because vampires, and I love vampires. Those of you that know me or have been here for a long time know that I love vampires. So a vampire adult paranormal romance just seemed right up my alley. And I was really disappointed that I didn't make it through the book not just the first time, but the first couple of times. It has slow points. It does. The plot lacks a little bit in the beginning. I would say probably the first 150 pages of this book are kind of slow. It kind of starts off with a bang, literally. There's an explosion at the very beginning of the book that happens. But then it kind of slows down, and it just turns kind of strictly romance-ish for a little while. And I personally needed more action than the romance. I wanted more of the action than the romance. But after you get past that first 150 or so pages, the action picks back up and it just takes off like a rocket the rest of the way through the book. And each book following this also has a lot of that action incorporated into it. So it doesn't really slow back down a ton. So yeah, definitely if romance isn't your thing, but you are looking for a paranormal book, a vampire book that has a lot of action and stuff incorporated in it, definitely give it a try anyways. My husband is not a big romance reader. He doesn't like romance books, but he actually really enjoys this series as well. There is enough action in this series to keep him interested. So that's a big thing because he's not a big reader anymore anyways. So for it to keep his attention enough, for me, that's saying quite a lot. So yeah, even he really, really enjoys this series. So please, please, please give it a chance. And if you find yourself not as into it or anything like that, like I was, please, please, please just push yourself to at least finish the first book. I was so happy that I did, and I'm hoping that you guys will be happy that you do as well if you decide to give this one a try, because it is definitely worth it. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as my review of Dark Lover goes. I will forewarn you, if you're not, if you don't know much about this particular series, this is, as I said before, it is an adult paranormal series. So there are adult situations in it. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of, the romance parts of it are quite steamy. And it does go into detail. Just to forewarn, if you're not comfortable reading books like that, this might not be for you, but it is definitely an adult series, so I stress to you, be prepared for that when you go into this book if you've never read it before, because the, I guess let's call them the lovemaking scenes in this book are quite detailed, and then the violent scenes, the more violent scenes between the Slayers and the vampires and stuff, they're also quite detailed as well. So, I mean, it definitely paints a picture in your head, but it is definitely, like I said, and I can't stress that enough, it is definitely an adult series. Please be prepared for that going into this series if you have not read it yet. So, that's it, you guys. I don't know really what else to say other than that because I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who have not yet read this series. This series is still ongoing. There are, I think, 13 books or something like that right now. Well, the 13th one comes out this year. So, I mean, it is still an ongoing series. It's a longer series, so be prepared for that as well. If you want to get into this series and you want to actually read through the series, you do have to invest time because it is a longer series. And I think this is one of the shorter books out of the series. A lot of the books tend to go more into the 400 to 500 page range. The first few, I think, are between 300 to 400, and then after that, they go to like the 300 to 400 range pretty easily, or the 400 to 500, I mean, page range pretty easily. So they are slightly longer books, but like I said, they're definitely worth reading. They're definitely worth giving a try if it's something that sounds like it's up your alley. I would definitely suggest that you give this book series a try and see for yourself. Judge it yourself. You can take my advice. You don't have to take my advice. That is completely your discretion. That's up to you. But I have been recommending this book series to quite a few people since I actually started getting into it. And they're all, everyone I recommended it to that has actually picked it up and started reading it has all enjoyed it very, very much. So hopefully you guys give it a try. If you don't, that's fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys have read this book as well, or are reading this series, or anything like that, or even if you just want to know a little bit more about the book, feel free to leave comments down below, you guys. I reply to as many comments as I possibly can get to, which is pretty much all of them as of late. So definitely feel free to, you know, leave comments down below asking any questions you might have about the book series, or if you just want to talk about the book series or anything like that. Mind you, for those of you who are super fans of the series and are completely caught up right now, I am not. So please, no spoilers. Don't put any spoilers down in the comments or anything, because other people might not have read this series and I don't want them to be spoiled. I also would not like to be spoiled, so please don't leave any spoilers down below. Otherwise, comment to your heart's content, and I will reply to as many of them as often as I can. And that's pretty much it for this. So that's it. I will be coming out with a new video relatively soon. Also, I just want to throw in here quick at the end that my monthly wrap-up videos that I release, mine for this month is probably going to be a little bit earlier than normal because I do have library books. They have to go back to the library, and I would like to show them in my wrap-up. So it might be a little bit sooner than normal. However, that being said, that is it. I'm going to let you guys go. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed and you would like to, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me and liking this video. And if you feel like sharing, share. If you feel like commenting, please don't hesitate. Comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this book or this series if you're reading the series as well. And I'm gonna let you guys go. So with that being said, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye.